mister.
How are you, Rick? Good to see you again.
Good, good. I haven't seen you since December
Pro
18th.
Box. We saw you
Yep.
at Fort Lauderdale in Pro Box. That was a fun
Yep.
event.
It was a fun show.
It really was. Double
Yeah,
knockdown. We saw
yeah,
that
no,
double
right, it was
knockdown.
right in front of me. My, I'll tell you a funny story about that show. And the same thing happened with the first Gaddy Ward fight. I had a friend call me, and the same thing happened, but this is a different guy now. But I had a friend for the first Gaddy Ward fight. I just watch the fight. This is going to be very exciting. Okay, it's going to be a really good fight. He calls me up after the fight. Oh my God, I've got to watch more boxing. He calls me back a couple of weeks later. He says, well, I've been watching boxing, but I haven't seen a fight like that. I said, that was a rare fight. I told you it's going to be very exciting. Oh, they're not all like that. I says, no, they're not. But in the meantime, the same thing happened with the double knockdown. A friend of mine was watching on YouTube, and he's a casual fan, and he goes, "Oh my God!" He said, "Does that happen often?" I says, "About once a year,
Yeah, most at most. Yeah, that's what.
worldwide, about once a year, actually, you know." But you know what's funny about those double knockdowns? They normally don't happen at the B level. They normally happen at the C and D level because those guys are the ones with no defense and they just swing for the fences.
Mhm,
And it doesn't really happen at the A and B level. So it
mhm,
happened
Ever.
at the B level, and I was really surprised about that.
Me too. I was shocked. I was actually next to the guy Gabe, who's one of the main people for Pro Box, and he was
Mm.
actually like blown away that he like couldn't. He was like in disbelief. Like he was like, No shot that just happened." I've
Yeah,
never seen that in person. I feel like most people there never saw that in person.
yeah, it's so rare. I mean, I can remember one time Shaquille Powell fought somebody on Showbox years ago, like 20 some years ago, and they're so rare. I mean, it's just like I said, once a year around the world's about right for something like that. But it's a funny thing about double knockdowns. They're always right hands each other throwing. One's not throwing a right hand, one's not throwing a left hook.
mhm,
They're not throwing left hooks. They're always right hands, if you guys ever noticed that.
mhm.
And that's what it was. Two guys throwing right hands and boom.
The
It was
exact same
great.
shot. It was actually such an interesting thing to see.
Yep, it
And
was
Rick,
What
great.
happens, Rick, if they both get knocked out at the same time? Is it just a KO draw? Like, what's that put into if they both end up getting knocked out from the same double knockdown?
I mean, I think it would be a draw, really. I
Yeah,
guess. I mean, I don't know how to. It's a great question. I would have to ask a commissioner, but I would think it would be a draw. If
yeah,
both
me too.
guys are counted out, I think that, or the referee wouldn't let either guy continue. I would think it would be a technical draw. I guess it would be maybe,
Yeah,
or maybe just a draw. I don't know. I'd have to ask. It's a great question, Max. By the way.
thank you.
oh, Rick, on that subject, first I just wanted to introduce
Now, Josh, who's your father, Steve or
oh
Steve
oh
or
so my
Raul?
my my dad is Raul Frank. So yeah,
Okay,
he talked to Don a lot, and he fought Vernon back in 2001.
I
Um
remember it well.
oh yeah.
I remember it well. Yep.
Yeah, he trains currently at Gleason's, or trains people, for like boxing and boxing fitness. But thank you so much
Mhm.
for your time. And I love that we opened with that question. I kind of think of this as just like a conversation slash interview. So, I consider you to be kind of just a wealth of knowledge, and I'd love to hear me and Max would love to hear your thoughts about certain issues. Um, so one of them is one of my questions was there's a lot going on in boxing today, whether it be Zuffa or contract disputes between fighters in public or rumored matches. I was wondering how you would describe the state of boxing today, like based on everything you've seen. It really takes someone
It,
like
it,
you to
it's the
know.
wild west in 2026,
Yeah.
and it's the wild west is disguised as professional boxing. I mean, it's crazy. I mean, to have Connor Ben leave Eddie Hearn, um, I mean, Andy Ruiz now signing with Zuffa. I mean, between you and me, that's like going out after an announcement like a Connor Ben. That announcement's like going out and asking to the popcorn vendor and asking if he's got caramel popcorn.
Yeah.
I mean, who gives a shit? You know what I
Yep.
mean? Um, it's just it's just can you put Max up on the screen at the same time too?
Oh yeah, so I can see him on my end. I'll try to change the view. I got you.
Yeah.
Um, did that help?
No, he's not up
Okay.
there.
Let's see. You you might have to change it on your end to like speaker is speak. There's something called view on the top right. And if you change it to multi-speaker, it can change. Because I can see Max.
Wait, I see that
Yeah.
multi-speaker. Okay, now I can see everyone too.
Yeah. I think you have to do it local to the desktop.
So it's top right. It's right next to the thing that says
Oh, there he
recording.
is. Right there.
Yeah.
Okay, there
Perfect.
he is. But now
Perfect.
you're gone, Josh. Jesus,
Oh.
I don't know how to do
Oh,
this.
it's okay. Yeah, I think it's sound based. So if I start speaking, maybe you'll see me. But it's okay. Don't worry. The recording will capture everything. It's all good.
Okay.
Mhm. Yeah, so I think you were telling us about your you said boxing was the Wild Wild West to have the incident with Conor
It's the
Ben was
Wild West
crazy.
in 2026. I mean, the announcements keep coming between lawsuits like that was going on. Floyd Mayweather suing Stephen Espinoza and Showtime. Al Heyman being um, a quote co-conspirator. I would think that in that agreement, I've got to refresh my memory. I've seen bits and pieces of it, but basically speaking, you got Oscar suing Virgil and Rick Merigian. You've got a TRO in that case. You've got now you've got them trying to get out of you stop the TRO, Virgil's side. The judge didn't render a decision yet. There's a lot of craziness. I mean, it does, yeah, Jenna Beck doesn't get stripped of his title, but he's suspended till December. It's a lot of craziness. The fact that Janabek did not get his title stripped, there's the problem with stripping him of the title was there's language in their rules that the a champion there's leeway for a first offender. Okay, because it's from the old days when there was so many false positives where they stripped guys and then 8 months later they find out it was a false positive. So to cover themselves for that, they have a long time ago put in the rule that you can't get stripped for a first offense for ped use, for drug use of any type. So the fact that he's suspended until December where he can't fight this whole year, being a champion that was going to get probably was going to be in line for a Crawford fight, and probably Crawford wouldn't have retired if he could have fought Jello because there was a lot of money in that fight for Crawford. So it cost this guy probably $10 million, I would say. Okay, and I think that's enough punishment itself, right there. So
Yeah, I completely agree, man. I completely agree. The sports is in such an interesting spot, and I know a lot of
Mhm.
people definitely have an issue with Janabek not getting stripped. But once you really look at the fine lining, as Rick mentioned, you can see why technically they haven't stripped him because
Mhm.
when you really break down piece by piece the way the sport operates, you start to realize why they operate the way they do. They have it in the
Mhm.
fine print, and most people don't realize that. Most people don't realize that there's certain legalities behind first offenders. I didn't
right.
even
Well, I
realize.
have that ruling. I have their rule on that
Mhm.
subject right on my was it the WhatsApp was sent to me on that specific rule. So I understand that, and I don't have. I think of the four organizations, that being the BO, BC, IBF, and WBA. I think the most common sense and the most fan friendly rules are the WBO,
I
and by far. And
I
I
agree.
think that they make the least amount of crazy decisions, the least amount, by far the least
By
amount.
far.
I think they make the least amount of waves, and they bring the least amount of negative publicity to them. I would say right now, with Gustavo Oliveira being president of the WBO, I believe they're the premier organization now. And I think this ruling, where people look at it as a negative, I look at it as a positive. And in the sense that they at least lived by their rules, And I think the rule is correct because they had guys getting those false positives. They'd strip the title, and then all of a sudden the guy would be good, and now somebody else is the champ. So it's not a good situation. There's no win-win situation in this kind of situation at all. It's just the least amount of damage to everybody involved, whether it's the BO, the fighter himself,
Mhm.
the promoter, Top Rank. Top Rank's got to be happy about it in a certain way
Mm.
because they don't have a TV deal and they'd have to give them a fight. If there's no Crawford, they got to spend $2 million for a fight. They can't draw four people,
And Rick,
And, yep.
oh Rick, on that note, I actually, I mean, there were multiple questions I wanted to ask you, but I was wondering how you felt about the fact that Top Rank can't get a TV deal. Is that a bad commentary on boxing? Is it bad on Top Rank? What are your
It's
thoughts?
a
So curious.
bad commentary on boxing, and it's a bad commentary on Top Rank.
Hmm.
And I'll tell you where Top Rank's gone wrong now. Okay, the ESPN deal, I know what happened there. Um, very clear what happened. Very clear to me what happened. The ratings kept going down, 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 and they started out with a bang with Manny Pacquiao fighting in Australia against Jeff Horn, and it did some astronomical ratings. So ESPN just figured, oh, this is what it's going to do all the time. And that's not what happened. And every year the ratings kept going down, down, down. After 7 years, they said, what the fuck are we doing? Well, I blame Top Rank for that. Okay. And I blame ESPN for that both. Okay. And I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why on Top Rank now, and then we'll get to ESPN in a moment. But the reason for Top Rank is they gave us stagnant fights. Fights didn't lead the fights. Okay, fights have to lead the fights. They didn't. They did not lead at Top Rank the fights. So in other words, what that means is you have a main event of let's say Beck versus such and such, right? For the title. Then you should be putting two middleweights in the co-feature and saying if the winner of the main event tonight will fight the winner of this fight here, the next time the new the current or the new champion fight, they'll be fighting this guy, and you have it in all contractual form, and you build fights. They had too many fights that didn't mean anything, meaningless fights, no purpose, nothing. Another thing is if you don't use the guy as the co-feature, you at least get to bring a guy in the ring and say, oh, the whoever wins this fight tonight, he will be fighting this guy on this date and such a situation. Ba ba ba. Stay tuned, and then you bring the guy ringside, and you sit down and you have him as like not a commentator, but just a few comments here and there, and interview him and all that kind of stuff and have the crowd get warm and fuzzy over them that are on TV. Then they can look forward to the reason why they're watching the fight and what's coming up next for the champ or the new champ. Whoever walks out of the ring with the title that night is going to be fighting this guy next. They never did any of that stuff. I
Mhm.
don't understand why they got away from old school hardcore situations that are basic business principles. That didn't cost. What was it going to cost to have the guy there? A plane ticket and hotel room for 2 nights?
Right.
Come on, fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Okay, and they just didn't do things like that. Okay, they never did any promote their own product. They thought social media was the answer. Social media, boxing on social media is only reminding the hardcore fans that follow boxing on social media that there's going to be a fight a certain night. You're not attracting new fans.
Amen.
New fans come from football games and baseball games. That's where new fans come from. Okay, the guys that are not present, male and female, that aren't presently watching boxing. The people that follow boxing on social media are hardcore fans. They know when the fights are. They look for the fights. You have to go after the fans that don't look for fights. You have to give them a reason to watch. Now, how okay, those were just some of the reasons for Top Rank. Now, going to ESPN, They never talked about the fights on Fight News. I mean, I'm not Fight News, on ESPN Sports Center that night or the next day or anything, unless there was something absolutely spectacular where a guy gets knocked cold, is laying there like this, sleeping. Okay, they didn't do anything.
Yeah.
Okay, the news is not supposed to be about when a guy has a sensational knockout or when a guy gets arrested. They didn't
Right.
do anything to promote their own programming leading up to the fights. They never talked about them on the Winning Club. They never interviewed the fighters. Now
Hmm.
they did on a couple of pay-per-views when Terrence Crawford was fighting on pay-per-view. They did a couple times. Don't get me wrong.
Hmm.
But overall, they're supposed to do that before every show and they show the weigh-in. What the fuck for 5 minutes? The main event, just show the weigh-in where they're flexing and they're going and they're talking horse shit with each other.
Hmm.
Yeah, they lost the whole between ESPN and Top Rank. They lost the fucking script. Now, Max, how do you feel about this?
I mean, I completely agree. I mean, Top Rank has definitely not done certain things that they should be doing to make these fights bigger. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I think that's a tremendous idea. You should be having the fighter in the audience. You should be having them, if not in the audience, on as the co-main event to build up these big matchups. I mean, I can't really remember too many times in the last few years where Top Rank has really built up a fight that we've been wanting to see. And it doesn't surprise me that this has been going down and that this has been happening. I think there's a lot of ways that they could be making these fights bigger and more interesting. I mean, we see the other networks using this blueprint to an extent. They're not utilizing
Hmm.
it as much as they should. In my opinion, I think whenever there's a big fight, the co-main event should be a fight that implies that they'll be taking each other on next, right? When we saw Naoya Inouye's last event and Junto Nakatani's the co-main event, a lot of casual fans are now interested in that fight because Junto was the co-main event. It's like, okay, now we just saw him. Now we just saw Inouye fight after. Now we're interested in seeing these guys take each other on because we just saw them both fight on the same day. We know exactly how they both looked
I
at the
mean,
same time.
as inept as um uh, PBC is. Look what they have tonight. They have they have Gary Russell, and hopefully, if he wins, they're going to have him take on. If Frank Martin wins, probably Frank Martin next, and they're
Hmm.
putting them together on the same show, right?
For sure.
You agree?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly. I was actually thinking of that exact event. I was actually thinking of that exact event. I think that was one that came to my mind as well. And I think they're doing a good job of building up that type of matchup, right?
Right.
And what I will say is sometimes it will backfire doing that. But if it backfires in a good way. Then you get a new matchup, right? We saw
Hmm.
Caleb Plant and Jamal Charlo fight in the same card, and Caleb Plant lost. But now I'm interested in Charlo Resendez. I think that fight's interesting. I think that's a really good way to build up fights. And also, when you make it like that, the cards themselves are better because now you're getting a good co-main event
Hmm.
automatically. And due to that
There's
fact, it
no
makes the cards
Max.
better.
There's no, but you know what? You know what we're talking about, guys. Josh and Mac. What we're talking about is fundamentals. The
Right.
top fundamental boxing promotion. The Top Rank lost their way on, and so did ESPN.
Right.
Both. I mean, think about this. You have a $100 billion media corporation and ESPN. Forget about the word Disney. Just let's say ESPN's $100 billion, right? Now you have a company that's been doing boxing, what it'll be 50, 60 years this coming March 29th. It'll be 60 years.
Hmm.
They've got Bob Arum's a Hall of Famer. Brad Jacobs, their COO, is a Hall of Famer. Bruce Trampler, their senior matchmaker, is um, in the Hall of Fame, and Brad Goodman's in the Hall of Fame. Okay, and their recently retired publicist Lee Samuels is in the Hall of Fame. Okay, but let's say he's retired. Okay, you still got five Hall of Famers out there, and they couldn't figure this out. What
Right.
what went wrong here? I mean, what the fuck? This is just simple promotion, guys.
And
So
Rick, on
Let
that
me ask this.
subject,
Do you
oh,
think,
sorry, go ahead, man.
sorry, I just want to quickly interject. Do you think it was either one of these two things? Do you think it was either a lack of passion on Top Rank's end or a lack of keeping up with maybe the times of the
I
sport and
I
that they
think
have
it
to,
was I think it was a lack of passion for this generation of people running Top Rank. I think it was a part of complacency and a part of top. They were mad at top. They were mad at ESPN because they kept coming on at 11 o'clock at night and
Yep.
putting them on different times all the time. So they weren't happy about that. Top Rank, and I think that they lost interest along the way because they weren't. They felt they weren't getting cooperation from ESPN by ESPN putting him in poor time slots and following know nothing basketball games on a Friday night. The smaller college basketball games on a Friday night, the bigger ones on Saturday night. So when they were fought on Friday nights, that was part of it. Different time slots, never consistent. I think it was just nobody was on the same page. And I think that Todd DeBuff is a very poor excuse for a president of a major boxing organization, and he's basically, essentially, under his watch, ran a legacy into the ground. That's my take.
It's a hard act to follow Bob Arum as well, right? Because Bob Arum was
But but you
really,
but you follow simple business
of
principles.
course, yeah, of
Mhm.
course, yeah,
They
of course.
didn't even do that. I'm not
Mhm.
listen. I'm not giving you the reinvent the wheel routine. And why didn't they do this that never existed before? They could have done this. They didn't do the basics,
Right.
guys. This is basic promotion.
Mhm. And Rick, on that subject, you mentioned that like there was an issue with matchmaking that kind of took them down. I've seen a lot of people make similar concepts about kind of Ryan Garcia's career. I'm wondering what you make of not only him but his fight tonight. Are you excited? What are your predictions?
Am
That's
I?
another hot topic.
I'm not excited about anything about Ryan Garcia.
Mhm.
I don't like him as a person.
Mhm.
I think there's a screw loose.
Mhm.
I think he's good for boxing in the sense that he brings eyeballs, but I think he's a fucking jerk off as a human being.
Got you. um, and how on a similar note, then how about the other fights tonight? Are there anything is
I
there
think
something?
Gary Russell and Hioka, if Hioka can overcome the jet lag because he just came in because of a
Mhm.
visa snafu, I believe that that'll be a great fight, and I believe that what's his name will be a sensational fight. I believe unless Richardson Hitchens thinks to join out, and Duarte never catches up with him, but that has the makings of could be a really really good fight, and I think that Frank Martin should beat Albright, but it's a good competitive fight. I think it would go the distance
This
myself.
is a good card. This is a really solid card. I think all of the
Yeah.
fights are pretty well made, right? I have
Yeah,
Ryan Garcia winning.
I actually put in Sena Becco with what's his name there, Beck the Bully, and I put in Luis Arias with Amari Jones.
Oh, those are two good matchups because Amari Jones is knocking everyone out, and then you got Luis Arias, who's tough as nails and finds a way to either pull off these upsets or to make it really competitive. So that's a really good test
Yeah,
for
he
Jones.
you know what he is? He's a well-traveled was a fringe contender. Actually was top five, and that's not fringe, but he was a contender at one time, fringe contender for a while. He's regressed a little bit, but he's not. He's on the back nine, but he's not shot.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
he's still in there pitching. He had a really good loss to a quality loss and a really good spirited fight with Eric Priest, and that
Yep.
was a good fight. And it's he's in there batting, and we'll see what happens. Amari Jones is everybody's touting him as the next great thing. I think he's very good, but I wouldn't get too carried away.
I feel that. And I really do like the Frank Martin Albright fight as well. We saw Albright, give Keyshawn Davis a competitive matchup before the fight got ruled with no contest. We saw him beat Kelvin Davis. And Frank Martin, right? This is a guy who was looking very good, then got slept by Tank, and now he's looked very good again. So I think that's I
Yeah, but
think when you look at
it's
the card,
interesting
it's
to
very well
note.
made.
It's interesting to note if you remember, he was looking really good in the Tank fight until he didn't, until he got
Yeah,
stopped.
those first four rounds, I believe he was up on the cards. I think he won the first four rounds, and Tank started to get his numbers. The fight went on.
Right.
So I think
Right.
that that's a good matchup as well. And overall, like Ryan Garcia, Mario Barrios, right? That's a solid one. I think they're really trying to push for that Devin Haney rematch. And if Ryan beats Barrios, it'll be a unification. I'm picking Ryan to win that fight personally. Beck the Bully should get the job done as well. And
Yeah.
then when we look at the rest of the card, I mean, Richardson, Hitchens, and Duarte, it's not the fight we necessarily expected, but Duarte's been looking really good. I think Hitchens should get the job done. I think it'll be a competitive fight throughout, but I think Hitchens will pull away late and win a competitive decision. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think this is a good card for the real fans that really keep up, the real hardcore fans, because it's not too
Yeah,
flashy
I
aside from
actually
the main
think the
event.
opposite you do. I think that Duarte, I think Hitchens does good early and Duarte comes on later
I could see
because
that.
he's got to have the legs to win. Hitchens and what's his name Duarte throws serious body shots and
Mhm.
he'll slow his legs down. So I think of the opposite way around. I think that Duarte will come on later, but who knows?
That shows that should be a very interesting matchup, honestly. And
Yeah.
they could be actually doing what you mentioned, possibly, where you never know, even though I don't think it'll happen. If Gary wins his fight and Hitchens wins his fight, they could find a way to maybe make that fight. And I think that is a really good
I
matchup.
don't think there's unless Turkey Al Sheikh's putting up the money. I don't see that fight that those two guys can't sell enough tickets together. No.
Yeah, fair, fair. It'll be a great matchup, though. Hopefully, some way, shape, or form it could get done, or something with Gary Russell and something with
Well,
Richardson.
you
That's a
got
big fight.
when you're talking about money today, you've
Hmm.
got to have Ryan in one of the fights. You've got to have or a Devin Haney
Tank,
or
Shakur.
or or a Tank or somebody. But you know what? I look at Tank as retired right now
Yeah,
Hmm.
me too. Me
until
too.
he's has a signed contract and it's announced. I look at him as retired. Right, he's got so many personal problems. He's got cases in Maryland. He's got cases in Florida. He's got
Hmm.
Yeah,
violations of probation in Maryland. I mean, he's got a lot of serious shit going on.
Hmm.
Remember, kidnapping charges, no joke.
yeah. Yeah. So, where do you guys think
Right?
Lamont Roach and Isak Cruz fit into this equation as well?
What's that? I'm sorry.
Where do you guys believe Lamont Roach and Isak Cruz fit into this equation as
I
well?
think Pitbull Cruz will end up fighting. May end up fighting like it could end up fighting Ryan Garcia. It could end up
Hmm.
fighting Shakur. Don't know.
Yep.
Those are fun.
It,
Those are fun fights. Those are
yep.
fun matchups. Man, there's a lot of talent in those weight classes. Actually,
Hmm.
once you start listing all these guys, because you name the main guys, right? I know Devin moved up, but you still got Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, still
Hmm.
got Timo, you still got these guys. But then you look at the guys that are the dark horses, like Richardson, Hitchens, and Gary Russell. And it's like,
Hmm.
wow, there is a lot of talent. And Keyshawn Davis, we didn't even mention Keyshawn Davis, right? So hopefully
No,
these fights really start to get
think.
made.
Listen, Keyshawn is no sleeper. He's as good as
I agree.
anybody. But he's the he's the enigma out there because
Yeah.
he was at 35, couldn't make the weight, went to 40. Now he's talking about going to 47. And you know, I have a new theory in boxing. Okay, and I've studied this for 3 years, and I discussed it with two Hall of Famers, and one is a Hall of Fame fighter who's now a trainer, and Buddy McGirt, and
Hmm.
I discussed it with Brad Goodman, the Hall of Fame matchmaker, top ranks Hall of Fame matchmaker, and I'll tell you what it is. The rule of thumb in boxing forever, and I know you guys are very, very young, and I'm an old timer. I'll be 68 in April and been in the business 35 years, but the adage has always been a good big man beats a good little man. And we're not talking about the heavyweight division. We're talking about boxing in general, where a guy moves up from 22 to 26. Most of the time, the 26 pounder used to win, like Salvatore Sanchez when he beat like Wilfredo Gomez back in 1981. Things like that, right? Okay. I think today it's the opposite way around. The
Hmm.
smaller guy has the advantage, and here's why: because everybody's so out of whack in their weight class, they strain themselves so much
Mhm.
that the guy moving up from, let's say, 35 to 40 has the legs to use because he doesn't have to kill himself to make the weight. Well, the
Right.
140 guy, he's killing himself to get on the stand, so he ain't batting it at 100%. Okay, he ain't 100%. He's not hitting on all 12 cylinders. He's listless. He can't use his legs. His stamina's low. He gets tired quick. He doesn't have the confidence. Where the guy who's 135 moving up, he's loose as a goose.
Hmm.
Completely agreed,
And
honestly.
What's that?
oh,
I was
Rick,
saying
just
completely agree,
on
honestly.
the
Go ahead,
subject of
Jeff.
that and what Max just said, I was wondering, like, I just wanted to make sure I got this in while we have time. I was wondering what like your wish list are for matches this year.
Well, let me just before we get to that, Max, how do
Oh,
you feel about what I just said?
Thank you for asking. I completely agree, and I've thought about this for a while. I think
mhm.
a lot of fighters are cutting so much weight
Yep.
that they're
Right.
putting themselves at a literal disadvantage, right? I'm not a
Well,
pro
I've
fighter, but I've
studied
always
this for
thought,
3 years, Max. It's not just a theory. It started out as a theory. I've
Mhm.
actually studied it for 3 years, and the smaller fighter moving up was winning 9 out of 10 times.
oh,
It,
completely, because these guys they're cutting so much weight, man. I mean, yes, you have the physical advantage come fight night, but the amount you drained yourself, you've really
no, no,
lost
Max.
a lot of what you would have
No,
had.
no, it's not. It's not physical, Matt. You have a physical disadvantage. You have a physicality advantage.
Correct, correct. So
Physicality, but not physical. Physical
that's
advantage
why.
is the guy moving up. The physicality is the guy who's already the champion.
And Rick, let me ask you this, because I remember you were hyper confident that Crawford would beat Canelo, and you were right. Were you considering that for the Crawford Canelo fight as well? Because I remember
Absolutely,
you
one
were willing to
thousand,
die in that hill, and
one
I'm a
thousand
big
percent,
Crawford guy. I'm a big
one
Crawford guy, but I was
thousand
surprised at
percent.
how confident you were.
I was the first one that when I before the fight was announced, I says if this fight really does happen, Crawford will make him look easy win, easy. And not only because Crawford had the foot speed, the ring moxie, the experience, left-handed, the jab, the a big, a huge array of punches that he has, and the super uber ultra high ring IQ. That's a weight thing that the guy moving up has a big advantage now.
Mhm.
And Max, that played into my decision. You're absolutely right, Max.
Oh, Rick, I had a question. How much then do you think? Because I remember somebody came to Gleason's and he was about maybe 20 pounds north of what he needed to be. How much do you think somebody should cut? Like, at what point does it become unreasonable?
Well, every fighter's different, and it also
Mm-hmm.
depends on the time of year and what area of the country you live and
Mm-hmm.
humidity, there's so many factors involved. You have a strength and conditioning coach. Are you eating the right foods? I mean, the who goes to the gym and works out and ready for a fight on the way home, he grabs two burgers or a burger. That's not the guy. That guy's not doing himself any favors. So it all depends on the fighter. It depends on how big the fighter is. A lot of guys have what they call soccer legs. You guys know what that is, right? Big, thick legs that they played soccer as a youth. You guys
Mm-hmm.
familiar with that?
Yes.
I think I know what you
Okay.
mean. Yeah.
A lot of guys have soccer legs. So it depends. Some guys have skinny legs. Some guys have a huge back but skinny legs. So it all depends on the guy, how tall the guy is, how long his arms are. But the bottom line is they're killing themselves to make these weights, and the guy coming up from a smaller weight class has the advantage. That's nobody can tell me anything differently.
That
Great
makes sense
points.
to me. Yeah.
Listen,
Oh,
guys, do you know what Don King said about me once? Rick, you're a lot smarter than you look. A lot smarter than
oh
you look.
no. He's right.
That's
Well, no, he's right in that you're really smart. I don't know about the
he's
then
right.
you
Come
look
on.
part. I don't know about the then you look part. That's always Don. Don does just that way. But Rick, I think going back to my question before, I was wondering, Max mentioned that there's just so many potential great matchups, and I'm wondering, just as someone experienced watching the sport, what are some fights that you really want to see, and then what are some fights that are you think are good for boxing?
There's a lot of fights that would fly under the radar in the big picture that I'd want to see. The fight that I would salivate to see is um is Oscar Collazo versus uh, Rini Santiago. The one
Mhm.
is the WBO WBA 105-pound champ who now finally, after I've been begging for years for them to put him in the ring rankings in the top 10 pound for pound, they finally did. And as soon as I saw him fight and won the title versus Jerusalem, Melvin Jerusalem, I said the guy should be in the top 10. But him fighting Rene Santiago, doing it in Puerto Rico, I mean, I'd fly there on my own dime to watch that fight. Well, what do you think of that fight, Max? Is that an under the radar sensational fight?
Yeah, man, it's a super under the radar fight. I mean, that's true hardcore knowledge. Oscar Collazo's been on sorry about the ringtone, by the way, it's connected to my laptop.
Oh, we can't
He's
hear.
been
Don't
under
worry, you good.
Okay, good. He's been under the radar for a while, man. And the fact that this guy, all the way in the super low weight classes, has gotten to a point where he's put himself on the pound for pound list. I mean, it really shows his body of work. It shows that this guy is doing so much that he can't be denied. And I really respect that. I think he's truly right now the number one guy to Puerto Rico. Puerto Rico has some great names, specifically Xander Zayas. However,
Mhm.
off of resume and accolades, Collazo's still number one at the moment. And that really is a huge testimony. So I think that'll be a tremendous matchup. I have Oscar Collazo getting the job done, but that's definitely an under the radar matchup. And
Yeah, and
honestly,
Santiago,
he's
a
really
lot of
building a name for
Americans
himself.
don't know about him, not only because he's 108, because he fights in Japan.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
he
Exactly. It's
fights in
understandable too,
Japan,
because Japan has had dominion over those little weight classes for a while. So he's had to go into those territories and establish himself. So that's very respectable.
and he's winning on hostile territory.
Exactly, exactly. I mean, the last time we really saw a fighter do that at a world level consistently was Alexander Usyk. So I give
Mhm.
Oscar Collazo a lot of
And
props.
before that, Stevie Johnson.
Exactly. Exactly. That's actually before me. That's before my time. I'm not even gonna lie there. That's a good one.
You weren't even probably born then.
Unlikely.
Hey, Max, what town you live in Florida?
I'm by Fort Lauderdale.
Oh,
I'm by
you're in
Fort
Lauderdale
Lauderdale.
itself. Okay.
Yeah.
You ever go to Casa Calabria for dinner?
You told me about that place before. I still haven't gone. I need to check it out.
Big
I need to
mistake,
check it
Max,
out.
that you haven't been there yet.
I gotta go. I gotta go. I'll make it
Very big
happen.
mistake. Very
What
big
type of
mistake.
food? Was it Italian food you told me?
Fine, great Italian food. Phenomenal. Real Italians own it.
Is that by is that by Las Olas or is that by
No, no, it's on the Gull Ocean Mile Drive there, and,
Okay.
it's in that old hotel called the Ocean Manor, which is not it's a cute Art Deco boutique hotel, but the restaurant's right on the main floor in the hotel in the lobby. It's unbelievable,
Oh,
and
I gotta
some
take your
seating has
word, man.
ocean views. It's got a nice belt patio. It's really really nice.
Say
You'd
it
really
slowly. I'm gonna
enjoy
put
it.
it into my phone. I'm gonna put it into
Casa
my
Calabria. Yep.
to Calabria.
And,
Actually, it's
and you
funny. My grandfather, his family is from Calabria in Italy, ironically enough, on my dad's side. Casa
Yep,
Calabria.
that's nice to know. See that?
So Calabria's a name. It looks like a really nice venue as well. Rick knows, man. You've been to South Florida a lot in your life, correct?
Yeah. Yeah. We're going to Boca between April 1st and the 9th. We're looking to purchase a home. My wife and I, we're looking at Boca, Del Rey, and Highland Beach.
Oh, those areas are great. Those areas are great. I could definitely see you enjoying Boca. Boca
Yeah,
is very
we're
classy.
looking for an area with less crime, number one.
Fair.
Less transients than Fort Lauderdale or Miami. And
Mhm.
we're looking to establish some solid roots down there. And I think Boca, especially Boca, would be, and Del Rey would be best.
What do you think about Naples?
Highland Beach, what's that?
What do you think about Naples?
I'm not a fan of the West
It's a
Coast.
little slow. It's a little slow over
Yeah,
there.
yeah. It's not. I want to be near corporate America. Corporate America is up and down
Boca
the
is
East
better for
Coast,
that.
from West Palm all the way down to Miami, and
Mhm.
that's where all the action is for corporate America. That's what I want to be because I do business with people. There's a misunderstanding about me in boxing. I don't manage fighters. I don't have any fighters under contract. My wife is starting to buy fighters. She's got one fighter signed up, but I don't do that. My business is white collar. I have my clients are corporate. I have 63 clients presently, and it's corporate. All my clients are corporate. So I have lawyers, attorneys, promoters, um, investment firms, all kinds of stuff, managers, but fighters are not my clients. Do I make fights? Yeah, I broker fights. I call up a promoter, a fighter, Promoter needs a fighter. I call the fight their guy. I call him up. Okay, here's the fight. Blah, 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 and I make a deal. But the fighter is not my client.
Mm.
So just to straighten that out, because people think like I represent fighters, and I haven't represented fighters since 2008.
Oh,
Mm.
Rick, what you just said makes me want to try to squeeze into this question. I know but I'm just wondering, like, I heard yesterday there was a prominent personality in boxing who said that Zuffa is maybe something more akin to Thriller than an actual legitimate threat. And Paulie also said that he doesn't even think Zuffa's in the same class as Golden Boy. I was wondering what your impressions were of their show so far and how far you think they might be able to get.
Well, Golden Boy's got a wonderful niche in boxing. I mean, they've really established themselves. I do a lot of business with Oscar and Eric Gomez. Eric Gomez is the president of Golden Boy, and they have a really good niche. Okay, in boxing, and the basic situation is that Zuffa has put on three good, very solid shows so far. They were good fights. There was the one problem was there was a lot of meaningless fights.
Mhm.
Um, but and Callum Walsh, he can't be in a good fight unless they put him in with somebody that's a legit fighter who'll knock his head off. Okay, I mean they're going to keep putting him in with Humpty Dumptys. They fucked that whole night up. They put remember one thing about boxing: the people go by the last fight they saw.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
Okay. And that's why you had to have a really good main event because people remember the last thing they saw. And a guy like me doesn't remember the last fight thing he saw because I'm a career professional. But the average fan sitting at home remembers the last thing he saw. And when you go around Callum Walsh flicking the jab out and running around the ring at a high rate of speed and holding and bouncing off ropes and doing all kinds of wacky, nobody wants to watch that shit.
We
Right.
saw that also for the Crawford Canelo card. Like he slowed down that card after Lester Martinez and
Right,
then Billy fought. It was Callum Walsh fighting, and that fight
right.
I thought would be a
Same
lot
thing.
better. That fight was pretty slow.
Same
I'm not
thing.
gonna lie.
He's like watching. I know Dana White likes him and Tom Lawler. That's their pet. But fuck, does he have to be in a
Right.
prominent fight on the show? Stick that motherfucker on the undercard. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that was
You
bad.
know, they're lucky I don't have any say so. I'd be looking to get that motherfucker beat.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think Zuffa. The thing is, from what I remember, Turkey Al Sheikh has some type of stake with Zuffa. Am I crazy? Some type of involvement, correct?
60, he owns
Yeah,
60%,
yeah.
and what do you call owns Zuffer owns
Dana.
40%.
So yeah,
Mhm.
so for me, it's like you have Turkey Al Sheikh involved, you have Dana involved. These guys are making a push. I think it's very difficult to imagine a world where these guys aren't making a splash in the sport of boxing. I think it's very difficult to imagine that because they're already starting to pick up names. They're already starting to slowly
No, no, no. There's
build
definitely
up.
it's gonna take 2 to 3 years to go to the
Correct.
next level, and then 5 years from now they'll be the number one promoter in America. There's no question about it in my
I
mind.
agree. At this point,
It's
I
gonna
agree,
happen.
especially with top rank on the slip. Top rank on the slip, they're really just and even
Don't
obviously like
forget one
PC on
thing,
the
guys.
slip.
Guys, one of my problems with Top Rank right now
Mhm.
is they're being mismanaged further because they as soon as they hadn't got by the time 60 days was gone after their ESPN deal, they should have laid off all these people and kept 10 or 12 core people.
Mhm.
Okay. And they never did that. They've only laid off like 4 people or 6 people, some small amount out of 40. I mean, you're not, no matter if you get a deal or not, it's going to be a shell of what you had. It may be a 10 or $12 million a year deal. It's not going to be a $90 million a year deal. So you got to downsize the company no matter what.
Mhm.
And they never did that. They're sitting there with a big bloated for what? Why are you paying these people? You're
Mhm.
you're you're in dreamland. You're not if you get a deal, like I said, it's gonna be a show a month for $1 million or something like that. I can see. Don't get. I'm not saying it will happen, but that's what they'll get at the most. That whole group of people was based on all those shows they were getting on ESPN and having a $90 million a year budget, but they don't have that anymore. Get rid
Yeah.
of all them fucking donkeys. For what?
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we really see that the sport, in a sense, could arguably be up for grabs. I mean, if Top Rank and PBC really slowing down, PBC still having their good events here and there. It's really the zone, which is the prime source of these big events, and you see Zuffa's coming right for them. So it's gonna be very interesting to see how this plays out in the next few years.
Well, mind you this, okay? I've projected the demise of PBC for a long time. Well, people say, "Oh, they're still in business." Hold it, in business? No, wait. They started out doing 43 shows the first year. In 2023, they did 24. In 2024, they did five. And this year, and last year, they did five. And this year, they're not doing the first show on March 28th. The second one is with Golden Boy on May 2nd. They may do maybe five shows this year. I mean, they're a shell of what they were. Are they still in business? They're lingering along to obliviation.
Yeah, to the point where I'm starting to prefer some of these smaller events, like, even like Pro Box. I'm starting to like what I'm seeing from them because they're trying to make a push, even though they're much more of a different scale. When you see these bigger promotions, they're very fizzling out at this point. From 43 to 5, I mean, that's a ridiculous drop off.
Well, you can't go by 40 because 43 was in 2015, 16, that era. But the prior year when they still had Showtime, they did 24 shows, and now they're down to five shows in 2024 and five shows in 2025. So, and when this Fandora fight was not Fandora, Tim Zoo and Earl Spence, if that happens, they're not even the lead promoter. Well, No Limit's the lead promoter. They're gonna do some of the work and they're gonna be along for the ride, but it's No Limit because PV's. There's a lot of reasons. Let me not get into it, but I know what the reasons are. But let's leave it alone.
Oh, oh, that sounds good. I noticed that we're at the 11:33 mark. We can stop there and maybe reconvene.
No, we can keep going.
Oh, oh,
I got to be off by 12 o'clock, so we're good. Keep going.
okay. In that case, I wanted to get another question in. Rick, you talk a lot about PBC and the challenges that they've had, but I'm wondering more broadly, like, how do you think, boxing can essentially get better? I see a lot of people using what I think of as the same formula, but I'm wondering, like, to your comments before, especially, like, how can the sport generally grow? What should the fighters be doing?
You've got to go out and reach people that are watching basketball, hockey, football, and baseball, and even NASCAR. Okay. And you've got to appeal to those people. And you've got to send your world champions to events, get them introduced, wave to the crowd, make boxing more public again. The problem is we're hidden on apps. They can't turn on ABC, NBC, and CBS to see boxing anymore. So you've got to look for it. You've got to make it accessible so at least if they're looking for it, they know where to fucking look, and you got to give them a reason to look for it. That's how I feel. And you got to make matches that are more meaningful. You know, I'm not proud of certain fights that I have to make. Okay, because the promoter calls me up and said, "Oh, this guy's got to win because he's fighting this guy next." Sometimes about once a month, I'm not proud of what my work. Now, sometimes the fights do turn out a little better than I thought, but I'm not proud of some of the fights that I make. I do quite a few fights every month, a minimum of 8, a maximum of 16. And I'm disappointed always that I have to make on an average of a fight a month that I'm not proud of, but I like to limit those type of fights because it's just the way it is. I mean, what can I say? I mean, when the promoter calls you up and said, "Listen, Rick, this guy sold $50,000 worth of tickets. I need a 10-round guy he can beat and look good and blah blah blah." Well, the guy doesn't have any chin, he can't punch, right-handed, right in front of you, not too tall, doesn't move his feet. I mean, what the fuck, I mean, and you know what? I'm forced to do things like that occasionally, but as a general rule, we need to improve the quality of fights.
Most definitely. I mean, that's where we've seen a lot of these other sports, like specifically like UFC and MMA, what people love. They may not even enjoy watching the fights, but they enjoy the matchups. They enjoy when the fights that they want to see get made. A part of their brain gets activated when the matchup that they're desiring actually gets made and happens. And that's what the sport can heavily benefit from. And that's why a lot of people have liked Saudi Arabia's influence in boxing the last few years, because certain fights that we didn't think we would get, we've been able to get. And I think that's what the sport needs to continue to do.
The NASCAR had the Daytona 500. The NASCAR is the one sport, and it's the only sport in the world that their biggest event is the first event of the year. Okay, and their biggest event, they had 30 cars on the lead lap at the end of the race on the same straightaway, and 16 guys could have won the race. They were running in a pack at the end of the race to win. The guy who was running fifth on the start when the last lap started won the race. That tells you how competitive it is. People want to see that. You
Of
know how
course.
many people, came up to me. I go to this local restaurant called Dandelions here. It was an Italian restaurant at one time, but then an Irishman bought it 21 years ago, and it's turned into a mixed bag of things. You know what I mean? Got Reuben sandwiches, a little bit of mixed bag. And I go in there and I go, Rick, did you see the Daytona 500 the other day? Oh my God. And they don't even know I'm a NASCAR fan. All the excitement, you know. I said, well, you can watch it again this Sunday at 3 o'clock on Fox. They got from Atlanta Motor Speedway, the same type of race, same type of track. Instead of 2.5 mile, it's a mile and a half track, but it's high banked and same kind of last lap action. You'll enjoy it. And that's that you get a great fight like a Mickey Ward fight, but the problem is the fights are not on network TV. They're not even on premium cable anymore. They are on apps, and people don't know where to look. I had a guy tell me the other day there's no boxing on anymore. Where do they even fight nowadays? Well, you didn't even know. And he used to be a fight fan 30 years ago. Okay? So it happens. It's gone away from the general public. We've got to have articles talking about from and get people to write articles besides on boxing websites I like on Sports Illustrated and Sporting News if it still exists. I don't even know or whatever and any of these things and say this is where boxing is now. It's on this app and this app and this app and this app and this is and the cost and everything else. Yeah, it costs money, but if the fights are there, the people will buy the apps. The quality. The problem is the zone said no more pay-per-views, and they went to fucking pay-per-view as soon as they got Canelo. And they fucked that whole fucking thing up.
I remember that. Yeah, I remember being so disappointed when they didn't keep their word. You know what I mean? When they didn't keep their word to the fans, that was a big sign of weakness, in my
Then they were
opinion.
charging people during the pandemic. There's no boxing, and they were still charging people. People had to call their credit card company and try to get their money back. And when the people lost, I mean, their brand reputation is almost zero.
Correct.
You
Correct.
know, I don't care if they charge me, 30 back then, 20, $25 a month it was back then. Whatever. It didn't matter to me. I'm in a good financial position in life. It didn't matter to me. But the working guy sitting home and got kids to feed and his wife on him, he's getting charged for apps that he can't even use. Oh boy. I feel sorry
Josh, what
for
do you
that
think
guy.
about this? What do you think about the zone doing that and the whole situation, Josh?
Oh yeah, it's really funny because I was there was a time where I was trying at length to get my subscription canceled, and basically once you give your information to the zone, uh, you know, you can't like there's not really a lot that your bank can do. So I also remember when they announced that there wouldn't be pay-per-views, and I thought, well, that was a lie because these guys are being compensated so much that there's no way to make any you don't have a shot essentially based on how much people get compensated
Mikey
sometimes.
Garcia made 10 million against Jesse Vargas or something like that. I don't know if you
Right.
guys remember that. That was crazy.
Right, even if he didn't actually get the 10, like anything close to that would like drive, I think, any company to their bankruptcy.
Listen, that
So,
was both guys were coming off losses. It was a consolation bout. The Eddie Hearn did that fight in Texas, and nobody it didn't mean a fucking thing. Nobody cared. Nobody was interested in it. I mean, they too many rummy matches. And Eddie Hearn's a big rummy match guy. He really is. Think about it. Listen, Duarte. Listen, guys. Duarte fought Sims, okay, in a great fight. Omari Duarte is now fighting tonight for the title, and Sims is fighting. Uh, who's Sims fighting coming up here? I don't know who's Sims fighting. He's got a fight March 14th. He's in the main event on a Golden Boy show. Who's he fighting there? Can you refresh my memory
I'm
there,
looking
Mac?
for it right now. Barboza, Arnold Barboza. That's a
Yeah,
good
yeah.
matchup.
That's a
That's a good
that's a
matchup.
great fight. Yeah, that's a great
Yeah, I didn't
fight.
even realize that fight got set. That should be a really competitive, interesting fight,
That's what I'm saying.
honestly.
That's my point. So they both lost. Duarte lost a great fight. Okay, um, a great fight with. I mean, won a great fight with Sims. Sims lost a great fight, and they both got big fights coming up. That's what boxing's supposed to be. If a guy loses, you don't put him on the bench. You don't you don't shun him. If he lost a great fight, you bring him back and you put him in immediately in the main event,
Spot
and
on.
that's what you're doing.
Spot on. And that's such a great style matchup. I think that fight's going to be really appealing to the fans. Both fights. I think
Absolutely.
Sims Duarte, or sorry, Duarte and Hitchens, and I think Sims and Barboza, because what I respect is Sims lost a really close fight. He's not being punished for it. He's getting an opportunity to put himself right back in the
Because
picture if he
Mafia
gets
De
past
La Hoya
Barboza.
and Eric Gomez are excellent promoters. They really do a good job, and this is living proof.
I agree. I agree.
I was also curious to like there was one weekend where there were so many fights that a group of boxing reporters were like totally overwhelmed by just the
Agreed.
amount of things happening. I was wondering, do you think to what extent do you think it's a problem in boxing that there's just too many fights every week? I sometimes feel like there doesn't
Um,
need to be fights
well,
sometimes.
I think the fights need better placement.
Mhm.
I
Agreed.
think
Spot
they
on.
I think they need to be spread out. I like the fact that in the non NFL football season that Paramount with Zuffa is going on a Sunday night. I think that's pretty cool. They can go on a Sunday night and they do. Um, I think that too many fights. I think that you've got to limit yourself, like the zone, to having a fight in the afternoon at from Europe, like England and stuff like that, the UK specifically,
Hmm.
and where it ends at 7 o'clock at night. The show over here, which is 12 o'clock over there, about or 6 o'clock here and 12 o'clock there at certain times of the year, and you come right on at immediately with the next show from America. As soon as that show ends, like if it's scheduled to end at 6 o'clock, you come on at 6 o'clock with the American show, okay? Or you come on at 7 o'clock if it's going to end at 7, and you will gear the people up to watching more boxing and paying attention to boxing, especially now with the smart TVs. With now we've been around for a while, but with the smart TVs now you can put the apps on your TV, which in the beginning you couldn't. And I think that it would give a whole different element to the sport if they did that. But they're too helter skelter. I mean, too much boxing on that. I mean, they had two shows on at the same time on the zone one night. One show started at I don't remember the show, but one show was I think a Golden Boy show, and one was like an OTX or something like that. But it was one of those Thursday or Friday night deals. It wasn't one of the major deals. It was one of those developmental series shows of Golden Boys, and the other OTX was on the exact same time on another DAZN platform there. You know what I'm saying? So they got to get their shit together.
Agreed. For me, it's like we should never have multiple high level fights on at the same time, right? There's so many ways around. We get weeks at a time of no fights, right?
Right.
And say hypothetically the schedule is stacked, right? You can always put the fight on a Friday night. You can always put the fight on Saturday a few hours earlier. There's ways
Well,
around it.
especially in certain areas of the country.
Of course.
Okay.
Of course.
Like New York City is a good place for a Friday night because people are still in the city, where people go out to the suburbs and they don't come back out for the weekend. They come out of work Friday, they can go to the fights. Saturday nights is a tougher night to do for a live gate, believe it or not, in New York City. So just the way it is. It's every market is different, but they need to
Correct.
get their shit together, period.
Yeah, like January 31st, we shouldn't have had to pick between watching Shakur and Teofimo or Xander Zayas and Abbas Barao. They could have found a way. And that fight was actually in New York City, ironically enough. So that plays exactly to your point as well.
Nuts.
Yeah, it was very
Stupid.
frustrating for the fans, honestly. I was relieved that the Kelly fight was easy for everyone to watch, Josh Kelly and Murtazalia.
Mhm.
But those two fights being at the same time was a mess, especially when you look at the fight that like February 7th, right? That week was very slow. The week after was very slow. Not much going
By the
on.
way, I had told everybody going to Josh Kelly fight. I said I'm not going to pick a winner, but I'm going to. I told everybody all along that Beckham was way overrated, and he came off. He beat a shot Tim Zoo, and he looked so spectacular in that fight. Everybody thought he was this god all, and this the next great thing, and it turned out that he was what I thought he was, overrated.
Mm.
Spot on. And we saw that it really played into Kelly's hands that he was willing to take on that opponent because I don't necessarily think Murtazalia was being ducked like many people were pushing. However, he wasn't a fight that seemed overly logical for a lot of these guys. And I think in hindsight, John Ennis and Virgil Ortiz definitely should have jumped on it and taken
No,
that belt.
no. Duran Ennis could have. Okay,
Yeah.
but Virgil couldn't have because of the second day weigh-in.
Mm.
Yeah.
Virgil can't make. Virgil has to rehydrate immediately because he's so big.
Mhm.
So he couldn't do that because of the second day weigh-in. Believe me, I know it was discussed. But now the other guy, Boots, could have done it. But he didn't.
Yeah.
When he moved up from 47 to 54, he could have done it, but he elected not to.
Oh, and
That's
Rick, to the point we were just talking about, I was at the Teofimo Shakur fight, and some people, I mean, the crowd was electric, but some people were really surprised by Teo's performance. I was wondering what your impressions were of that fight, and Max, feel free to jump
I
into for any
said
of my
all
questions too.
the core was going to play with him.
Mm.
Okay. By the way, Jack, you don't know me that well, but Max has been following me for a long time. I'm wrong about 5% of the time. The last time I was wrong was when I picked Theory to beat Usyk and I lost by a point. So what are
Mm.
you gonna do, right, Max?
Yeah, yeah. Rick's pretty spot on with his picks. I mean, he knows what he's. I mean, I can't forget the Crawford Canelo one. I remember I was literally asking you like, how are you so confident with that size difference? And you knew, and you were right. So spot on. I think Shakur against Tiafimo. I knew Shakur was going to win as well. What I
And let
will
me
say,
tell you
I
one
did
thing.
think,
I thought the score in the Crawford fight, they bent over backwards to give it to Canelo, and they still
Yeah.
couldn't
oh,
get it.
100%. I think I gave Canelo 3 rounds in that fight, and
I
two
I
judges
gave
gave him
Canelo
5.
I gave Canelo 3 rounds too.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so they were very generous, just like the Bivol fight as well. I gave Canelo 2 rounds against Dimitri Bivol. The judges gave him 5, so they were trying to make that happen as well. But when you look at Shakur Tiafimo, I knew Shakur was going to win as well. But I'll be honest, I did expect it to be more competitive than that, like
Mhm.
11 rounds to one. That I thought it'd be more of like an 8-4 type of fight. But
Mhm.
Tiafimo just had nothing for Shakur almost the entire fight.
Well, everybody kept telling me what great balance that Tiafimo has and how fast his feet are and how agile he is. I said, what the fuck are you guys looking at? Okay, and it showed up in the fight. The guy was knock-kneed and pigeon-toed for Christ's sake half the night.
Yeah, those guys, man, like Shakur, Devin Haney, these guys with these high level fundamentals, almost like the Crawford school of fighting, to Crawford and Floyd and Andre Ward. These guys are tough, man. These guys are
Mhm.
tough to figure out. And
Yeah,
unless you're an exceptional talent or a real rugged fighter, it'll be
forget
difficult for
about
you to get through them.
forget about the speed and the agility, the ultra high ring IQ at that level of Crawford, of Usyk, of Shakur, of
Dimitri Bivol,
Dimitri Bivol, Oscar Collazo. The ring
Bam
IQ is so
Rodriguez.
Bam Rodriguez, correct? Bam Rodriguez. The ring IQ is so fucking high, and that
Mhm.
that wins them a lot of fights.
Yeah. No,
Rick,
it
did you
truly
ever
does.
think that Tio would get stopped in the matchup as you
No,
watched it? Oh, you did.
no.
Okay.
I didn't think so either. I thought
Oh.
he would get picked apart more and more, but
Shakur
I
couldn't
had a
stop.
feeling he would stay in
Shakur
there.
couldn't stop me, for Christ's sake.
Oh.
And 11:58 in April.
Uh,
You know, it's unfortunate in the sense that they're such good friends and don't want to fight because I think Shakur and Keyshawn would be an exceptional matchup. But Keyshawn wants Devin Haney, and that's another exceptional matchup.
Yep. I'd rather. I'll tell you a complete mismatch. A complete mismatch, and anybody thinks it's competitive, they should put a gun to their own head. Shakur absolutely would play with Pitbull Cruz. A joke
Oh,
fight.
Pitbull
oh
Cruz,
yeah.
yes. But how
Yeah.
about Keyshawn? Keyshawn Davis.
And Keyshawn and who?
Keyshawn versus Shakur.
Oh, Shakur would beat him.
Hmm.
But it would be a good fight.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Shakur
How
would beat
about
him,
how
but it'd
about
be a good fight.
this? To ask you one more,
Nobody,
Keyshawn and Devin.
nobody at 35, 40, or 47 is beating Keyshawn. Nobody.
Keyshawn or Shakur? Because you have Shakur over
Shakur,
Keyshawn.
Shakur,
Shakur,
Oh,
yeah.
Shakur,
sure. Oh,
Shakur.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah, Shakur is
Nobody's beating
such a
Shakur.
talent, man. What do you think
Yeah.
about Keyshawn and Devin Haney, though?
Keyshawn.
I think so
Oh.
too. I think
Oh.
Keyshawn beats
Mhm.
Devin also.
Okay.
I would
Yep.
pick Keyshawn in that fight
You
too.
know, one of the things about Shakur that people miss is they say, well, he won't have the strength. No, he makes up for the shortness of strength in his balance is so superior. And that makes up for the for the lack of some strength. And it's not that he's not strong, but when he's fighting, he's strong because Tiafimo is strong, but you saw he had no balance, and you saw Shakur had all the balance.
His feet are really really good in the ring. Like he knows exactly where to be at all times. His footwork is it's not super flashy, but if you're really paying attention, this guy's footwork is what's winning him all these fights, man.
I know. I agree with you 1,000%. Not even a question.
Very
So,
impressive
Josh,
talent. I knew for a
you got
while.
another question, Josh?
Oh, I think I'm good. I think Millions is going to be able to generate a lot of great questions from or videos from this, and yeah, so I think I'm good.
Okay. Max and Josh, you got my phone number. Give it to Max. If you
Yep.
Max, you
Yes,
want to call
please.
me for any reason, give me a call.
Thank you.
Any
Yes.
reason whatsoever, feel free to give me a call. And when I move down to Boca, well, I'm coming down the first to the ninth, but we're going to buy a condo, so I won't have a lot of free spare time. But when I go down there, when we move down there, the first time I see you, the next time we'll plan a dinner in advance, and I'll take you to a nice dinner with my wife.
Much appreciated, Miss Rick.
And my
Really
wife,
appreciate that.
we are the beauty and the beast. Of course, my wife's the beast. Of course, my wife's the beast, and I'm the beauty.
There we go. There we
Okay.
go. I look
You
Thank you so
forward
boys
to
much,
have
it.
a
Rick. We
great,
really
great
appreciate it.
day. And whatever this goes on, if you could send me to my cell phone, if you could send me the thing by text, so I can re-listen to it and everything else like that. Okay, is that good?
For for sure, it'll take a few days, but Millions has a production team that works and converts things, so it'll be really good when it does
Thank
go.
you. Yeah, Josh, please send me Rick's number as well. I lost all my old phone numbers because I
Oh
dropped my
yeah.
phone in the ocean. So I
Oh yeah,
need
I
that
got
number.
you. Don't worry.
Thank you,
Yeah.
brother. Much
And and,
appreciated.
and 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 Max, can I get your number from Josh?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, Josh,
What's it called? I'll give it to Josh right now.
Max's name and phone number. Okay.
Gotcha. Yep, I got you.
Yeah, Josh, I'm
Good.
gonna send it to Josh through XDM,
Perfect.
and you can just send that to Rick right now.
Yep, I got you.
Okay, gentlemen, you have a wonderful day. It's Saturday. I'm as close to you guys as a telephone. Okay.
Oh,
Thank
thanks so
you.
much,
Really
It's
Rick. We
been,
really
appreciate
it's
it.
been
appreciate
fun.
it.
It's been a lot of fun, and I've enjoyed it. And I'll do this anytime you guys would like, as long as it's on a Saturday morning or a Sunday morning. I can't do it during the week. I don't. There's not enough hours in the day during the week.
Fair
Gotcha.
enough.
That
Same
makes
Okay.
here.
total sense.
Same here.
Thank
Thank you
you,
so
guys.
much. Great
Thanks
speaking
a
Enjoy.
with you,
lot.
Rick.
Really appreciate it.
Josh,
Thank you.
thank you so much, brother. I really
Bye
Yep,
appreciate
for
you, man.
sure.
Great being on.
Absolutely, 100%. Anytime.
Have a great rest of your week, guys.
Take
Yep.
care.